Hey everyone, Matt with Tractor Guys Garage, and today we're back with Blue. We've got a little bit of work to do here. I've got about a week and a half till this truck needs to be able to go down the highway, or at least down the 2 lanes, and be running and driving good enough for that. So we have got a list right over there, all of that stuff there. This is also for the MG in my other truck, but that all right there, that whole list is all stuff we've got to do to get this truck at least on the road. So we've got a couple of them already knocked out. This that been started for a couple weeks now, and obviously some of it's been knocked off, like doing the injection pump and a couple other things. Where we're at now is a whole bunch of little stuff. So I've got this new, to me, used power steering reservoir. We're going to try to get that installed in there, see if we can make that work. You may remember, this is the original setup I was running. And while this was working, it was starting to leak out of some of these welds here. I think I might have gotten a little carried away with my welding. Might have punctured it there. This tank here is nothing really wrong with it, so I might try to reuse it. However, I do have upstairs a tank out of... wrong way. A tank out of a 7.3 IDI, or actually, excuse me, I guess it's actually a 7.3 Power Stroke. So we might try to see if we can get that put back in here. Might fit a little better. I don't know. I got to pull it down and see if it seems like it's going to work or not. But the goal for today is that reservoir, the overflow tank, get all of that put back together. Make sure, and I've got some line and some fittings, get that reinstalled. At some point, I'm going to need to do a power steering cooler. I realized that here a little bit ago doing some research. I don't have one of those though right now. I thought I had one, but I think we've used it on another project. So unless I've got another one upstairs hiding, I'm probably going to have to figure out one of those. So that's not super critical, though. I can come back to that pretty easy enough. It just mounts right on the front of the truck. So not really worried about that. But we've got to get those two things taken care of for the power steering and the cooling system. I have also a couple of other things. We are probably going to be working, if we can, also on the shifter for the four-wheel drive. Mostly just because I've got to make some brackets for that. And if I need to do some modification or get some steel, I kind of need to do that while they're still open. So I'm hoping I can use what I've got, so I don't think I'll need that, but if I do, we'll just have to go get some little bits and pieces. But yeah, I've also got a shorter belt. We're going to try to see if the shorter belt will help the tensioner able to tighten it a little more. And yeah, beyond that, we'll see what else we can get into. I've got a whole bunch of little stuff kind of that fits in here. It's all the little things that I need to make sure I check and wrap up before we actually get this truck ready to go down the road. My water neck, my buddy Conrad, Mr. Boyer Builds, is working on that right now. Hopefully he will have that done by the end of this weekend, and we can get that installed too. I've also got some other wiring things I've got to fix. Small little stuff like that, but it's all stuff that just takes up time. So let's get going with that, and I'll bring you back when we've made some progress. Alright, so it's a little later in the evening. I went ahead and got a couple things mocked up here. You see kind of what we're doing. Basically, I was originally going to cut apart the original overflow setup that we had with this, the black reservoir. Well, it's sitting right over there. And I realized I'd kind of welded more of it together than I thought I did. And that also might be part of a coolant leak that I had noticed was coming out of that as well. Just the nature of when you have used stuff, sometimes that starts to happen. And I realized, though, that I have this setup here that I mentioned earlier, and I think it's going to work pretty well. So here, we'll show you what we're talking about. So what I've got here, this is the new master, I guess, reservoir. Not a master cylinder, but this is the new reservoir. Zoom you out a little bit. This is going to be the fluid check for the power steering. The lines now, I have to do some, the fittings are all just loose in here. Lighting's not very good for you, unfortunately, but it's going to line up a lot better, and I think I can actually just get away with a straight piece of hose right down into my, right there is my inlet for the pump. That'll work. And then redoing, I've got this Power Stroke from the 97 Power Stroke, I think, so just another one of, these era trucks, but with a Power Stroke in it. I modified the bracket, and so now we've got, obviously, our gas line here, and then our water feed line down there that goes in much the same place as the original one, and I think I can make it work. The only thing now is obviously this hose will connect into here because it's supposed to come off of the radiator. This hose I do not have a place for, so I'll have to see if I maybe can either tie this in to tee it all together, or honestly if I can just get rid of this and plug it. I don't know if I need this or not, so I got to do a little more research, but either way I can tee it together or do something to hook it into this to make it work. It's not a big deal at all. So what we're going to be doing now, basically getting that all finalized. I've got to make some more brackets. Well, pretty much actually I've already got the brackets in there, just finalizing where everything's going to go and how we're going to exactly make it all work together nicely. So I'm going to keep going on that, and I'll bring you back here once we get this hopefully a little more finalized. And yeah, we'll see how far we get, and then maybe we'll jump on some of this other stuff that I've got kicking around here in addition to getting this truck a little further ready to go. Well, it's another day here at Tractor Guy's Garage, and I got some help today. I got Mr. Noah Obrighter, Mr. Travis Mitchell out here. He's down there helping me take the bed off, and I am working on valve cover right there for this truck. Yeah, we've got quite a bit of progress done since you last saw it. Namely, I have got the cooling system all buttoned up. Here, I'll spin you around and you can see that. So, thanks to Mr. Conrad Boyer, we have got the new cooling system adapter block put in there and hooked up. Works pretty good. I definitely could have made my measurements a little bit better, but it works good enough, plenty for what we're doing here. And I've got the new power steering reservoir, coolant reservoir, both installed, ready to go. Got all the air ducting put back in place here. And we've basically now got just a few things left before this truck's pretty well ready to go. I've drove it, and it runs and drives absolutely amazing. This is the one big issue though. I've had, as you can kind of see, a pretty bad valve cover leak for a while. And I put a new gasket on it thinking that might help. But I pulled the valve cover off again and come to realize every one of the braces that this has in here, that when you tighten these bolts down, it pushes down on the center, but it also pushes down on each one of these to help the outer edges seal tight. Each one of those had broken off. So there was no longer any connection between the center and this, causing this whole thing basically to flex and these edges never to be pushed down correctly to seal. So I went ahead and I got all these welded up here. I'm going to go back in and double check them, make sure I don't need to put any more on any of these. And then I'm going to clean it up, get it all nice and clean, get all the nasty junk out of it before I put it back on the motor. And then we'll hopefully be able to put the new gasket back in, put it back on the motor, and hopefully seal that valve cover up. They're working on getting the bed taken off, so that way we can put some spacers up on the bed, match the cab, and get it all nice and level. But short of that, the list is pretty well getting whittled down here. I've got to still put the clutch return spring in, but I've got to figure that out. The belt length I have confirmed is correct, and it seems like it's going to work for us, so that's good to go. The coolant over temp switch probably just won't happen because the gauge is now correctly working and it seems to be running nice and cool, so I'm not too worried about that. Pretty much the last couple things I really would like to do, I've got to get the interior put back in it for the rest of it. I would really like to get the tach functional if I can, mainly because I want to turn up the engine RPM a little bit to about 3,500. The spacers are happening right now, and maybe I'm going to look at an electric fan setup. Hopefully these can happen before Monday when it's got to go for its drive. If not, like the shifter, that's not a big deal if I don't get to that yet. I'd like to, but it's not a big deal by any means. So we keep working on this and hopefully keep plugging away. We'll see how much we get done today. We're going to go down to some truck races down in Warren County. So Mr. Boyer Bill don't have his hat on right now, but he's got a truck in there that we're helping to get running and compete in that race. So we're going to go down there here a little later and go do that. So we probably won't do a whole lot more tonight, just with time constraints. Hopefully then tomorrow we'll be able to get the rest of this done, at least whatever we can out of it, and go from there. So yeah, I'll bring you back here a little later so when we get a little more progress made. Alright everyone, well, the big day has arrived. Blue's got to make a review. See, it's running pretty good, I think. It's filling up right now. I went through and I've got everything sealed up about as good as I think I can. I think I still got a valve cover leak. I screwed with it a whole bunch trying to get it to seal up, and I just don't think I can quite get it right. So we'll probably have to deal with that a little bit more, but I think it's good enough. It'll make the drive and not leak too bad. So we'll see how she goes, and yeah, we'll see if it makes it or not. Let's do it.
Just had to stop for a first breakdown. Minor issue. Apparently, I never tightened the fuel tank bolts. Apparently, I just had them on like a jar or two. Don't know how I missed that, but degrees today. And it was right on the end of normal on the temperature gauge here. And then by the time I got back in, maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes total, it was up into right between the R and the M. So it had warmed up a little bit. I don't have fans on this truck yet because I just get around and put them in. But as soon as I started getting going here, I'm doing about 60-ish, 55, you know, keeping in line with the speed limit. But it's cooled right back down to the end on normal. So I feel pretty good about it. I don't think we're going to have too many overheating issues. It seems like that's a pretty big radiator. So yeah, let you know what else if anything else happens.
Alright, well, we made it there. Sorry I didn't have a chance. We were a little busy there taking pictures. But
We were able to make it there just fine. No other real issues. Truck ran nice and cool. So yeah.
so yeah, with that, I turned around, heading home. I gotta say, overall, she's doing pretty good. Running nice and cool. Here, I'll spin you around. You can see the gauges.
Alright, so here's where we're running. Got nice oil pressure, because that is an actual gauge now, remember. So we've got actual oil pressure reading. Charging nice and good. You see we haven't even hardly moved the fuel from off of the pegged out stop, so we barely used any fuel whatsoever. And then you see our temperature is running really cool. And I'm doing, you know, right around 55, 60 mile an hour. Obviously, as you can see, I don't got the tach hooked up yet, nor the rear ABS module, but I don't even know if I'm honestly going to even hook that up, because it really doesn't even work on a truck this size anyway anymore. So, but yeah, other than that, we're doing really good. It's cruising great. I mean, I don't know if you can hear, you know, engine just kind of humming along. We're doing about 1,800 to 2,000 RPM in this range. Just in overdrive right now. So I'm just cruising right now. Everything seems to be pretty decent. I've definitely found a few things I need to do. Like, I got a little vibration as I pick up speed every now and then that I probably should look into. A few other small things like that I probably should take a little bit of time to figure out. But short of that, I'm pretty happy. So we're going to keep on driving here, and hell, we'll see what we get.
There you go, everyone. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. We made it back. It's a little smoky, the crankcase vent. I think still got a little bit of blow by. It really just needs a good hard work on it, I think, to get that to kind of go away. But honestly, a lot of these old Internationals, especially in a lot of tractors that we run, same motor, they've been like that, and they blow crankcase ventilation out the vent pipe for the whole time I've ever worked them, and they run just fine, and they've got plenty of power. So honestly, if that's the worst this thing does, so be it. Maybe we'll look into a rebuild or something like that at another time. But aside from that, ran cool, great oil pressure, doesn't appear to be leaking excessively. Still got the valve cover gasket that we do have to address here in the not too distant future. I'm going to do a little more research, see if I can figure out a solution. Try to get that sealed up as best we can. But yeah, all in all, we did the 90-ish miles, a little over, round trip. It barely used, I mean, here you can see how much fuel we used. Barely used any fuel. I mean, you see, we are still just behind the full there, and we went a little over 90 miles. So all in all, I don't think we did too bad. So anywho, I'm gonna cut this one off here. Appreciate y'all watching. Stay tuned, because while this segment of getting Blue on the road again is done, we are far from done with this truck. So be sure to stay tuned for more. See y'all later. Have a good one.